Yesterday we discussed about what is Windows, what is Unix, which are comes under Microsoft family, which are comes under Unix family. What is client OS, what is server OS, what is homogeneous, what is heterogeneous, all this stuff. So finally, in the real time, clients always Windows, servers always Unix, Unix or Linux. That could be any flavor. Clients always Windows, servers always Unix. That is called heterogeneous. If you go to ATM, all the ATM machines are Microsoft Windows family. After logging as ATM user, you can see how much amount you have, where the data is in the database server, where the database is installed on Linux server. Can you able to see the database? No. Those are called backend. This is called heterogeneous. You log into the gmail.com, yahoo.com, where Gmail, Yahoo, those are Unix servers, Linux servers. But your laptop, desktop is Windows. That is called heterogeneous. You go to airlines reservations, railway reservations, bus reservations, wherever we go, our physical access only Windows. Our physical access only Windows. So we are going to work in the real time only in heterogeneous environment. Now let us compare with Windows Microsoft family. Nowadays we are not using Solaris, we are not using HP Unix, we are not using IBM AX. We are using only Linux. The reason is there's a company called Sun Microsystems. A company called Sun Microsystems developed a software they named as Sun Solaris. Their own hardware that is called Spark. Spark is a hardware. Spark is a hardware manufactured by Sun Microsystems only for Solaris compatible. Spark stands scalable processor architecture. Scalable processor architecture. Spark is a hardware compatible only for Solaris. You cannot install any other operating system. HP, Hewlett Packard, developed an operating system called HP Unix. Their own hardware, HP servers. Their own hardware, HP servers. So we can install only HP Unix on these HP servers. You cannot install any other operating system. IBM, International Business Management, developed operating system called AX. IBM International Business Management developed operating system called AX, stands Advanced Instructions Exchanger. Advanced Instructions Exchanger. And their own hardware, IBM. IBM is a hardware compatible only for IBM AX. HP is a hardware compatible only for HP Unix. Spark is a hardware compatible only for Sun Solaris. These companies, they have their own software, they have their own hardware. Yes, Apple iOS. They have their own software and they have their own hardware. Whereas Microsoft Microsoft developed OS called Windows. Microsoft developed OS called Windows. On which hardware Microsoft developed only for Windows compatible? What is that hardware Microsoft developed only for Windows compatible? They don't have any hardware. Windows can be installed on any hardware, any architecture. Why no laptop, no desktop, no company without Microsoft? Why Windows lead in the world? One advantage of Windows is user friendly. Windows is user friendly. Any layman can understand. Unix not user friendly. There are nearly 6,500 commands, more than that. A normal person cannot understand, cannot remember these many commands. Learning the Unix administration is a nightmare to the people. Why? Because we have to remember a lot of commands. The second advantage of Windows is Windows can be installed on any hardware, any architecture. Windows is hardware independent, whereas Solaris is hardware dependent. We can install only on the Spark. HP Unix only on HP servers. IBM AX only on IBM servers. These operating systems are hardware dependent. Windows hardware independent. Any architecture. So in the real time, Windows can be installed on x86 processor, Intel processor, any hardware, any architecture. Why it is called Spark? Spark is a processor. Spark is a processor compatible only for Sun Solaris. HP is a processor compatible only for HP Unix. IBM is a processor compatible only for IBM AX. Windows can be installed on x86, on Intel, on HP, on IBM, any hardware. The advantage of Windows is Windows hardware independent. All these are hardware dependent. Because of this, Windows is leading the world. Same like Windows, Linux also hardware independent. You can install Linux on any hardware. They don't have any hardware to install Linux. Linux is hardware independent like Windows. So when you compare Windows with Linux, Windows is licensed software, Linux is freeware, no license required. For installation of Windows, Windows need a specific hardware. No specific hardware required for Linux. No specific hardware required for Linux. Meaning of that, to install Microsoft family, any Windows family, at least we required 10 GB storage, 1 GB RAM, minimum 1 GB, 2 GB RAM. Whereas for Linux, we can install Linux with 1.44 MB storage. 1.44 MB storage and 1 MB RAM. The earlier days, 15 years back, we used to use floppy. The floppy capacity is 1.44 MB. We don't require a hard disk. We can copy the Linux kernel. I told you yesterday, kernel is nothing but operating system which interact with the hardware. We can copy the Linux kernel in floppy. The capacity 1.44 MB. We can carry the floppy. No source code is available. Linux open source. open source code. These are the differences between Windows and Linux. In Linux, we have two variants. One is freeware. The other one is Red Hat distribution software. Red Hat distribution software. Red Hat distribution software, it is not a freeware, it is licensed software. Red Hat distribution software is a licensed software. It's not a free. The freeware versions are 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, latest and current is 19.0. Whereas the freeware versions are 1.0, 2.0, the latest and current is 9.0. Here are the difference between freeware and licensed software. Why there is a difference? Why? Because the freeware versions released for every 6 months. Freeware version released for every 6 months. Whereas licensed software not for every 6 months, for every 2.5 years. Licensed software released for every 2.5 years. There is a difference. You can ask, when this software is available for free of cost, why should I purchase licensed software? Why should I purchase licensed software when this software is available free? We can download for free of cost. The reason is you can purchase mobile from the Flipkart. We can purchase mobile from the shop. The difference is if you purchase from the Flipkart, 5% discount, 10% discount. But still, we never preferred. Why? Because no warranty, no guarantee. If you purchase from Flipkart, because we need a warranty and guarantee, not the discount, we'll always go for a shop. Likewise, if the company go for freeware, no support from Red Hat. Generally, where we use Microsoft family, where we use Unix family. Actually, we discuss about the flavors of Unix, where we use Microsoft family and where we use Unix family. I'll tell you why Ubuntu 24.0. The booting process also we'll discuss later. We have a separate topic on that. Right. So, where we use Microsoft family and where we use Unix or Linux family. So, Windows only for entertainment, playing the games, watching the movies, browsing the internet, only for entertainment. Unix or Linux not for entertainment. Should I told you that we don't have we don't have any graphical mode, no desktop, no graphical. Everything is a command line. So we can't play the movies, we can't play the songs. Of course, if you want, you can play that is different matter. But it's not like user friendly like Windows. You have to install the software. For that, need to understand how to install the software. All this stuff. It's not like Windows. So there is a difference between Windows and Linux. So Windows generally Microsoft always use it for entertainment. Unix or Linux not for entertainment, only for databases, applications. For databases, applications require support from Red Hat. Yes, I can install database on freeware. Oracle database, SQL database, MySQL database, we can install on freeware, but no support from Red Hat. Because the company need a support, that's why they'll go for licensed software. But what we are using in training part, that is called freeware. We don't need any support. So that is the difference between Red Hat, distribution software, licensed software, and freeware. In Linux, we have so many distributions. In Linux, we have so many distributions. Those are Red Hat, Sandwich, Ubuntu, Fedora, SUSE Linux, Debian Linux, Puppy Linux, Kali Linux, Whitebox Linux, PSequest Linux. There are nearly 300 distributions are there in Linux. More than 100 distributions are there in Linux. All this comes under Linux distributions, or we can say comes under Linux family. Comes under Linux family. Linux comes under Unix family. Yesterday we discussed which are comes under Unix family or flavors of Unix. All this comes under Linux family. Where we are going to use Red Hat. Red Hat we use it for databases. DB server, app servers, database server, application server, production service will go for Red Hat. Dev servers are Sandwich. Dev environment, development. Ubuntu for testing. There is no IT company without this, without DB server, app server, production servers, development server, testing server. There's no company without this. So in Linux administration, we are going to discuss Red Hat, the Sandwich, and Ubuntu, so that we can work on any environment, because we are going to discuss all these three. Generally, Ubuntu we never use it as a service. Ubuntu always used for desktops, not for the servers. Yesterday I told you that Linux comes under server operating system, not the client OS. Solaris, HP Unix, IBM AX, all are server operating system. There is no OS called client in Unix. All are server OS. Yes, Ubuntu we can use it as a client OS. We can use it as a server OS. Ubuntu is more user friendly compared with other Unix operating system, Linux operating systems. Ubuntu is more user friendly. We have both graphical mode and command line, CLI. Right. So I told you that Linux we have a open source. What is the meaning of open source? There are two types of codes available. One is binary code. The other one source code. Two types of codes available, binary code and source code. What is the difference between binary and source code? Binary nothing but machine language. machine language, zero and ones. We can't able to understand it. Source code is user understandable. If I write the code in Python, Python developers can understand source code. If I write the code in Java, Java developers can understand the code. If I write the code in .NET, .NET developers can understand the code. That is called source code. Binary code, you can't understand. Binary format. The advantage of Linux, they are giving the source code to the end user free of cost. He can download from internet. He can download from internet. For example, you take a burger. There are two options. One is homemade, the other one is ready-made. What do you prefer, homemade or ready-made? Definitely homemade. We can prepare our burger according to our taste. Ready-made is not your taste. It's someone else's taste. You just have to have it. But the advantage of homemade, if you know how to prepare the burger, what are the ingredients required, we can prepare the burger according to our taste. So we always prefer homemade food. That's what advantage of Linux. They are giving the source code to the end user. You are technically sound. You know the shell programming, device driver programming, kernel programming, network programming. Download this source code. You can develop your own Linux operating system. You can redistribute it. All these are distributors. Linux not a proprietary operating system. Windows is proprietary operating system. Who is the proprietor for Windows? Microsoft. Who is the proprietor for Solaris? Sun Microsystems. Who is the proprietor for HP Unix? Hewlett Packard. IBM AX, IBM. All these are proprietary operating systems. They never give the source code to the end user. If Microsoft provides the source code to the end user, anyone can develop Windows. For Linux, no proprietor, the source code is available. If you are technically sound, download it. You can develop your own Linux operating system. You can redistribute it. That's why all these are distributors. Red Hat is one of the distributor of Linux. CentOS, Ubuntu, all these are distributors. That is the advantage of open source. Today, if I develop a hardware, your mobile is a hardware. Like everything by default, everything is a hardware. Today, develop some hardware. You want to use that hardware. For that, we need a driver. You have to ask the Microsoft, please give the driver for my hardware. For that, we have to wait for minimum 3 years. If you are technically sound, download the source code from internet, Linux source code. You can write the driver for the hardware. We can use that hardware. That is the advantage of open source. Nowadays, all the companies that are using open source softwares. In DevOps, we have so many tools. All the tools are open source. No license required. One advantage of open source, no license required. The other advantage is we can modify that according to our requirement. Based on the company requirement. You want to add some more features, kernel features or firewall features we can add if you have a source code. So we have a separate team called development team. Their job is modifying the kernel, update the kernel according to the company requirement. So finally, Red Hat, RHEL, and CentOS. Both are comes under Red Hat family. Both are comes under Red Hat family. RHEL stands Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is licensed software. CentOS stands Community Enterprise Operating System. Which is free, no license required. Any community software, Java community, .NET community, Python community, all those are community softwares are free of cost. But both are product of Red Hat. Both are product of Red Hat. So CentOS for development, dev environment, RHEL for database, application, production. Both are product of Red Hat. Earlier days, it was Red Hat, but 7 years, 8 years back, IBM take over Red Hat. Now it is not Red Hat, now it is called IBM. But still the logo is Red Hat only. So this is the history of Linux. Any questions, guys? Yes. Yes. In my laptop, I install Red Hat, I install Ubuntu, I install CentOS.
I have few questions, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, if you thorough in this Linux administration, we can crack the interview. And what about the salary wise, sir?
I'll tell you, please wait. So I'll explain you how to install Linux operating system in your laptop. And also I'll show you how to create the AWS account and how to launch the servers in AWS, how to connect to the servers in AWS. We'll see both. So I told you yesterday, in the real time, Linux or Unix, it always backend. Backend means what? We don't know where the servers are. So without knowing where the server physically located, we'll always log into the Linux servers, Unix servers from your laptop, from your Windows. How? By using PuTTY. In order to log into the Linux servers, Unix servers, the servers on internet, I required IP address. So this is the IP address of the server. If you have IP address and have a credentials, username, password, you can log into the server from anywhere throughout the internet. So in my lab, I installed PuTTY third-party software. So what is IP? 192, 168, 157, 155. So you have the IP address of the server. I know username. Username is Sonar. I know the password. So this is the real time. Without knowing, We don't know this where the server is physically located. Tomorrow you join as Linux administrator, they'll give one laptop. So if you are going with here, we are going to cover level 1, level 2, level 3. Who are level 1, who are level 2, who are level 3. 0 to 2 years experience. This comes under level 1. 3 to 5 years experience. 3 to 4 years experience comes under level 2. More than 4 plus years experience comes under level 3. L1 support, L2 support, L3 support. L1 support, L2 support, L3 support. So 4 plus comes under level 3. As a fresher, you can expect the salary minimum of 3.5 to 4 lakhs. 3.5 to 4 lakhs. Experience. Even one plus also comes under fresher only. 0 to 1 years experience comes under fresher only. 2 plus experience. Whenever we go with experience, you're definitely well upload the resume to the Naukri. There are a lot of options. In that, one of the option is what is the current CTC. You have to mention the current CTC if you are going with experience. If you mention current CTC 5 lakhs and that 30% hike. Experience, guys, always open package. Open package means what? Based on the current CTC only, you'll get the 30% hike if it is experience. So we are going to cover level 1, level 2, level 3. What are the roles and responsibilities of level 1? Yesterday someone asked me, are you going to explain the project? We are not learning .NET, we are not learning Java, Python, we are not learning any programming language for projects. Projects only for developers, not for system admin. Not for system admin or cloud admin. We don't have any projects. We have roles and responsibilities. Tomorrow, if you go for interview, definitely they're going to ask what are the roles and responsibilities in your current experience or past experience. You have to tell your roles and responsibilities. Don't tell about a project. In your resume, if you mention the project, your resume never shortlist. They can understand you have fake experience. Of course, I'll explain you how to prepare a resume as well. So the roles and responsibilities of level 1 is installation. Installation is very rare. And monitoring. What type of monitoring? Disk monitoring, memory monitoring, services monitoring, network monitoring, processor CPU monitoring. So level 1 job only monitoring. So every company, they're going to use some third-party software like Service Desk, one of the monitoring tool. Service Desk, one of the monitoring tool. Tivoli is one of the monitoring tool. Nowadays, the popular monitoring tool is Service Desk nowadays. So with the help of these monitoring tools, your job is only monitoring. The roles and responsibilities are level 2. Servers configuration, like DNS, web servers, mail servers, FTP, all this comes under servers configuration. Of course, never get the chance to set up the server, but here to maintain and manage the servers. Maintain and manage the servers and troubleshooting. One of the end user or application developer, they're not able to access the application. What's the problem? Why application is down? You have to check what services are running, whether the services are running or not. If not running, you have to start the services. Or you have to check the firewall, whether the service is blocked by the firewall or not. If firewall is blocking, you have to disable that. Configuration of firewalls, allowed, allow services, tax the services by the end user, application development, all this stuff, level 2. Level 3, updates and upgrades. What is the difference between update and upgrade? We discussed earlier 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. For example, the latest current version is 9.0. Earlier version was 8.0. Now the current is 9.0. In 8.0, we have 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and so on. 8.0, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, all these are called updates. 8 is a major version. 8 is a major version. 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 are minor versions. The major version is same, but the minor versions are different. This is called update. 8.0 to 9.0, this is called upgradation. 8.0 to 9.0, that is called upgradation. So we are going to here we are going to change the major versions. 7.0 to 8.0, 8 to 9.0, that is called upgradation. So once you complete the course duration is 1.5 to 2 months duration. You are eligible for level 1, you are eligible for level 2 and level 3. Recently, one of my students with 3 years gap. 3 years gap means what? 3 years experience. If you have a gap, that gap we can manage with experience. So, if you want experience, please contact Chaitanya, KnowledgeIT is going to provide experience if you have a gap. Documents, they're going to provide the documents. So, if you have a gap, that gap we can manage with experience. 2 years gap means 2 years experience, 3 years gap, 3 years experience. So, with this, what do you understand? More gap, more experience. More gap, more experience, more package. So, recently, one of the students with 3+ years experience, what experience? Fake experience. With 3+ years experience, got a package of 8 lakhs. If you want, tomorrow you are going with experience, take the documents from KnowledgeIT or from anywhere for experience documents and schedule interview in Naukri. Once the schedule interview, if you want, I can do the proxy and job support, job or work support as well. But for better opportunity, better career, after completion of Linux admin, learn AWS or learn DevOps. Of course, DevOps required AWS. For AWS, DevOps not mandatory. So once you complete Linux admin, for better opportunity, better career, learn AWS DevOps. Any questions? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Frankly speaking, when cloud was introduced, AWS, Azure, when cloud was introduced, very less jobs on Linux because most of the companies they migrated the databases, the servers from physical data center to cloud data center. The difference between Linux admin and AWS, in Linux admin, everything you are going to do manually. Installation of operating system is manual. Creation of users are manual. Install the softwares are manual. Shut down the server, reboot the servers, everything is manual. But cloud, everything is automation. In cloud, in AWS cloud, Azure cloud, they are going to automate the infrastructure. In cloud, we are going to automate the infrastructure. What is infrastructure? Nothing but servers, switches, routers. All this comes under infrastructure. For example, I install Linux in my laptop. Installation of Linux in a laptop is a manual process. It will take minimum half an hour to install the OS based on the software you selected. So here I install operating system manually. Once you install operating system manually, you won't get the IP address automatically. Again, we have to configure IP address manually. The command is nmta. With the help of this nmta command, we have to configure IP address manually. Edit connection. So all this stuff you required. You need to understand what are the commands to set up IP address, how to configure IP address, how to restart the service, all this stuff you required because this is called manual. And one more thing you need to understand what is public IP, what is private IP, what is the difference between public and private, what is class A, what is class B, what is class C, all this stuff you required if you're working as Linux administrator. The same if you're working as a cloud admin. Here there is no installation of operating system manually. So we have a service called EC2. EC2 the service. In that EC2 service, we have an option called instance. Instance, nothing but a server. Instance, nothing but a server. Launch instance means launch server. What OS you want? Developer team, they'll ask to deploy my application. I need Amazon Linux. Select Amazon Linux. Development team asks that to deploy application, I need a Mac OS. I told you yesterday, Mac OS also comes under Linux family. It also comes under Unix or Linux family. Here we have Ubuntu Linux. If developer asks that I need a Windows operating system, select Windows. I told you Windows, we have a client OS and server OS. Client OS and server OS. But here we'll see only server operating system. Windows 2022, server OS. Windows 2019, Windows 2016, all this comes under server operating system. No client OS here. No client OS here. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, all are client operating system. Do you have a client OS here? No. A laptop is a client, a desktop is a client. So in cloud, all are server OS. You can select which server you want based on the developer requirement. So we have to choose the operating system, which one developer required. And we have a SUSE Linux, Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Debian Linux. But there is no CentOS, there is no Puppy Linux, Kali Linux, Debian Linux, Kali Linux. For that, we have a marketplace. If you go to marketplace, whichever Linux you want, everything is available in the marketplace. That we'll discuss later. So you want Red Hat Linux, select Red Hat Linux. And what type of server you want? These are all servers, 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM. This is called compute capacity. What is the meaning of compute capacity? The processor and memory. The processor memory we call compute capacity. My laptop compute capacity, 1 CPU, 16 GB RAM is my compute capacity. So CPU and processor, memory we call compute capacity. This cannot be called as server. It's a workstation, it's a client, it's a laptop because of only 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM. The application database we cannot deploy on this server because of it is not a server, it's a workstation or a client. We have to select the server based on the developer requirement, how many CPUs you required, how much memory you required. You see 2 CPUs, 4 GB RAM, 64 CPUs, 256 GB RAM. These are called servers. 32 CPUs, 120 GB RAM, 16 CPUs, 64 GB RAM. So we have to set the server based on the client requirement, developer requirement. 192 CPU, 768 GB RAM. So the server also ready-made is available. Operating system is ready-made available. Even server also ready-made available. But throughout the AWS course, we are going to discuss only this server because of free tier. No charges applicable for this. If you select any one of these, those are not freeware. They're going to charge. You can see 1.56 US dollars per hour. They're going to charge hourly based. So we are always select free tier. And what is key pair? I'll explain you later. Right? Network settings, everything you take default. You see here SSH, security shell. Yesterday I told you that when servers are Linux, clients are Windows, laptop is Windows, we'll always connect through SSH, heterogeneous. You just click on launch instance. Within a seconds, your server is ready. Now it is pending state. Still pending state. Now running state. Click on the server. Click on connect. Copy this SSH. Go to Windows command prompt. Go to downloads folder. Paste that command SSH. Yes. You got connected to the Linux server in AWS. Did I install operating system? No, right? This is called automation. To connect to the server, I need IP address. Did I configure IP address? No. IP addresses are automatically configured. So whenever we launch instance, every instance has two IP addresses. One is public IP, the other one is private IP. This is called public and this is called private. Whatever instances, servers we have, these two servers, they can communicate each other with the help of this private IP. Private IP to communicate the servers in a private network. If at all you want to access this server from internet, right now from my laptop, I connect to the Linux server that is called internet. Internet required public IP. Without knowing what is public, what is private IP, without knowing how to configure this public IP, private IP, everything is automation. If you know how to use the mouse, what are these options? That's it. Everything you can do graphical mode. So it's a Linux. How do you check it? Run the command uname -s. It's a Linux. It is showing that what flavor of Unix it is. Is it a Sun Solaris, SunOS, or HP Unix or IBM X? But what Linux distribution you want to check it? Run the command cat /etc/star release. Under Linux, it is Red Hat. In Linux, there are so many variants, so many distributions. Is it Ubuntu Linux or Fedora, Red Hat Linux? You want to check it? Run this command. That is the advantage of AWS. Because of this automation, most of the jobs are in AWS compared with Linux admin. Of course, whatever services we have, whatever topics we have in Linux admin, same topics in AWS. In AWS, we call that as services. The same topics, AWS, we call services. But only difference, there we'll do everything command line. Here, everything is graphical mode. So, if at all you want to learn AWS, first learn Linux admin, understand the concepts, command line concepts, then go for cloud. Any questions?
Sir, if you learn AWS as well as Linux administration, do we have much more opportunities as compared to the learning only Linux administration?
That's what I'm telling. Rather than learning only Linux, learn Linux with AWS. We have much more opportunities. If you learn DevOps also, then because nowadays lot of demand only for DevOps engineers. because DevOps not a technology. AWS is a technology, Linux is a technology, whereas DevOps not a technology. Where is your window? Chaitanya, are you there? Chaitanya, మీ విండో ఉందా? ఓపెన్ లో ఉందా? నాకు కనబట్టలేదు. విండో ఓకే. So that is what see, you want to go only Linux, of course learn Linux administration, try for the job, but you want more opportunities, then learn Linux with AWS. But the trending technologies Linux plus AWS plus DevOps. It is like once you learn these three, nothing to learn. 100% will get a job.
What will be the total duration of learning these three, sir?
Learning these three, only Linux with opportunities ఉన్నాయి, but comparing with AWS less.
Sir, you are covering both AWS and Linux here or only Linux?
Yes. See, when I started my career, I don't know, at that time there was no cloud, there was no DevOps. I started my career as a SCO Unix. I worked on SCO Unix, Sun Solaris, HP Unix, IBM AX. See, the problem with the technology, all this comes under technology. See, nowadays, let us say learn AWS or learn AWS. You got a job with 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs package. After 2-3 years, no demand for AWS, demand for Azure. Again, you have to learn Azure, keep the fake experience. After 2-3 years, no demand for Azure, demand for GCP. Again, learn GCP, keep the fake experience on GCP. The problem with the technology keep on changes. When I started my career as a SCO Unix, at that time there was no Solaris, there was no HP Unix. When Solaris introduced the updated skills to Solaris, then HP Unix, then IBM AX. But all are outdated. Linux introduced. Again, update my skills to Linux. Then storage, Veritas Volume Manager, Veritas Cluster. Now all those are gone because of the cloud. That is the problem in the technology. So technology based job, methodology based job. All this comes under technology. Whenever technology changes, you have to upgrade your skills. But DevOps not a technology. DevOps is a methodology. Technology can be changed. Methodology never change. Methodology never change. I tell you what the simple, what is DevOps? Developers write the code. Developers write the code. Build team will build the code. Testing team will test the code. Deployment team will deploy the code. That's it. This is called DevOps. This is called as a process. The process never change. Whether they're writing the code in Java, .NET, Python, that comes under technology. They may write the code in Java, they may write the code in Python, that is called technology. But build, testing, deployment, this is called DevOps engineering. For deployment, I can deploy my Linux, my application on AWS Cloud, Azure Cloud, GCP Cloud. Technology may change, but deployment process remains. This methodology, there is no IT company. All product-based companies, they're going to use this methodology. So that's why If you want to go for better career, learn Linux, then AWS, then DevOps. Or try for only Linux administration without learning AWS DevOps. For more opportunities, learn AWS. But don't stop with AWS. Learn DevOps as well. If you're learning AWS, learn DevOps as well. Or learn only Linux. This 45 days only Linux. But I have a separate batches for AWS. I have separate batches for DevOps. Hmm. Sir, yes, yes.
Sir, one more thing, sir.
Hello.
Sir, hello. Hello.
See, whatever knowledge I'm providing, you can keep up to 4 years experience. But the thing is, the more you practice, the more you get experience. I told you recently, 3 years with 3 years experience. With 3 years experience, you got a package of 8 lakhs. He cracked his interview by his own. So I'm not saying that within the first interview you'll crack the interview. Attend multiple interviews. They'll come to know what they're asking, what you're like, what they're asking. You'll come to know that you can upgrade your skills. So proxy charges, I'm going to take 2 months salary once you get a job after getting the offer letter. Okay. So we have a proxy for AWS DevOps as well. We have a job support for all these technologies, Linux, AWS, and DevOps. So any questions, guys? So no more demo classes from tomorrow? 40 days. DevOps 2 months. 3 months course, but we can finish 2 months by taking the extra hours. Or attend parallelly. Linux different timings, AWS different timings. Attend parallelly. You're going to complete both in a 45 days, different timings. If you want, you can learn Linux, AWS in different timings. You can ask the Chaitanya, knowledge rating. Ask Chaitanya, knowledge rating. Okay, guys, any questions? So no more demo classes from tomorrow. If you're interested, please register yourself and come to the classes.
Sir, last question, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, as you said that Linux has more than 6,500 comments.
Yes, yes.
Whatever the duration you have kept around 4 months or 45 days, is it sufficient time to learn the Linux administration overall?
Do you think that I'm going to cover 6,500 commands? No.
No, half of the comments is also fine to crack.
1,000 commands or more. 1,000 commands, 1,000 to 2,000 commands. We are going to discuss here. But once you get a job, you're going to run only max 30 commands only.
Okay. Got
You
it,
see,
sir.
in the real time,
Mm.
they're going to segregate the jobs. Why these are called level 1, level 2, level 3? We are not going to do all the stuff.
Okay.
So once you complete the course, once you join any MNC company, hardly we are going to use maximum 30 commands only. But
Okay.
as a beginner, you have to learn all these commands.
Okay. Got it. We can prefer a work from home job on the Linux as a Linux administration, sir, going forward.
Only 1 or 2% chances.
Okay.
Any questions, please? Okay, please register yourself before coming to my class tomorrow.